That brings to mind another topic that I know Walgreens thinks a lot about. If I ask the room, who knows what LTV stands for? Can I get a show of hands? It's okay if you don't. I love this. It's all opportunity, all upside. So LTV is what I obsess about. It stands for lifetime value. So as you as retailers, I know better than most, not all customers, it turns out, are worth the same. Not all customers purchase the same amount of stuff, despite the fact that retailers, and actually most industries, have this tendency to treat customer acquisition costs as kind of like this blanket, get them in my store, make them purchase once, and they're worth X to me. Lifetime value pushes on that concept and says, actually, of everyone who goes into your store and purchases once, let's say there's 1 million of those people, some will purchase 100 times over the next 10 years, some will purchase once and never come back. Lifetime value is capturing how much should I be willing to invest to acquire that customer? How much value will they derive from my organization over their lifetime? So how do you at Walgreens look at lifetime value, especially as it relates to your various channels? So whether it's online only, omni-channel, in-store only, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big question, but the one that we're focused on and almost obsessed with too. I mean, when we were first kind of realigning and auditing some of our KPIs, I didn't think that I would be using like principles from finance to influence digital marketing, strategies. But we use essentially a portfolio optimization theory where we're trying to find the efficiency curve for different channels. But to take a step back, I think so when we're thinking about LTV, the app customer is just uniquely different than any other type of e-commerce channel. Not only for the fact that it's almost like a foot in the door, right? They're coming into the app. They might not do something right away. Usually they will, 24, 48 hours. But like you mentioned, we're really focused on what's the type of customer that's going to come back and either repeat that same purchase or process, interact with that feature again, and do so in a consistent way. So what we have to have a team built to look at the data, to bring together different pieces of data like in-store data, like loyalty data and a Balanced Rewards program, and then the unique mobile data. So with the mobile phone specifically, you have things like device ID and geo-pings and opens to installs. So there's just a whole kind of jungle of information on one side and a whole jungle on the other. So we've really built our team with data analytics being the core component and the core functionality, and then there's the application side of things where we're looking to test partners and building our tracking and attribution in the right way to make sure that we're driving the most efficient spend possible given our budget. So when we look with a partner like Google, we don't have a team now like a traditional paid search team might do where we're building keyword campaigns and ad groups and tweaking ad copy here or there. Because while you might be able to find 1 or 2% over the course of any year, what we want to look at are partners as a whole. Because we're working not only with Google's, not only with social channels, but the XO group with the Not and the Bump. We're now looking into content partnerships and other ways that we can touch our audience and our potential users with how can Walgreens products and functions make their life better, or just educating them, oh, you can do that at Walgreens now. Like I feel like I have conversations almost every day with people who have that exact same response to me.
Fantastic. And just in the interest of getting a sense from the audience where they feel their organizations are on this topic, how many of you would say your companies are well positioned as they think about kind of optimizing the experience for customer towards lifetime value? Okay, that's good. Again, that means there's a lot of upside. And the cool thing is, again, the reason I'm grateful that our team gets to work across so many different industries is I can tell you no one's mastered this. So it's not as if you're alone. I do this, I'll have these conversations with pure play retail companies, think of the Expedias or the Netflixes or no one has mastered this concept of lifetime value, but it's so critical to think about because it goes without saying, especially when you think of your marketing departments, you only have a budget of X. If you're going to invest it, you might as well invest it in finding the most valuable customers. not just any customer, because some of them will drive considerably more lifetime value for organization than others. So in order to do that, I'd love to hear from you on what are the proxies and the indicators to suggest someone will become a very valuable customer. So for instance, we'll work with let's take a video streaming site. You can assume whatever one this is. And they say, hey, we acquire a customer and they spend $10 a month with us. And our average churn rate is 12 months. So that means they spend $120 a month. That's what they're, a year, that's what they're worth to us. And we push them and say, okay, some will last more than a year, right? Yeah, some will last 3 years, some will last 6 months. So we ask them then, I want to know when you take the customers that have lasted 3 years and work backwards, what were the things, the actions they took within the first 30 days? And let's find out what that shared common action is. And it turns out, when they looked at that cohort, those that had lasted 3 years, very high lifetime value customers, almost all of them watched an original show. So an original that company produced. Wasn't something that that person could have seen on cable TV anywhere else. That's a pretty good insight. Not surprisingly, then the marketing team weaves that into their marketing messaging, and they start focused on driving viewership and adoption of watching original content, because in doing so, they can get people to improve their churn rates and last longer. How does Walgreens look at that, and what are the proxies you see to suggest, you know what, this is a good indicator they'll become a very valuable customer to Walgreens?
Yeah, so within Walgreens, there's obviously multiple lines of business. You know, the pharmacy and health is our core kind of structural piece of business, but we also have photo line of business. We also have the retail product side, the e-commerce side, and then we also have kind of a newer digital product, kind of miscellaneous bucket, I guess we're calling it now. But for us, that measure of LTV is how many touch points are they having that's inclusive of pharmacy and then exclusive of pharmacy. So what we want to do is say, well, if they're a pharmacy customer, we're probably not going to be able to do much with marketing to influence that customer's health journey, right? They have a relationship with their doctor, they have a relationship with their pharmacist and their pharmacy. And so we want to make that as seamless and easy to use as possible. So we're developing products there that is more, I guess, transactional in nature. But what we want to do is encourage people to find or otherwise use the areas that we're developing digitally. So what we want to do is say, okay, if they came to our app or our digital kind of entity through channel A and used a photo print, are they coming back and using that specific group frequently, and what's the impact there? But then also, are they diverting in any way to use digital coupons? Are they signing up to our loyalty program? And are they interacting or exploring in any other way? So we'll look at time in app, we'll look at monthly opens, and then we'll look at opens in 90 days exclusive of all pharmacy behavior. Because at least those three areas have been very good proxies to say, one, how frequently are they coming? And then how frequently are they coming with no health intent? Because that's helping our teams that are developing products like the Skin ID program, like our photo team and the products that we're rolling out through mobile. But one thing that you mentioned before I did want to touch on is when you say, we only have an investment of X, we also only have a time investment of Y. So when we're talking about all of this data analysis and all of these different things and products that we could be supporting, and then you kind of have an additional filter of all the partners that we could be working with, we really need to be judicious about how much time we're spending in different areas and how much money then we're spending with those partners and supporting those products.
That's a great point. So as you think about, for the retailers in the room, trying to do similar analysis, starting with, okay, working with your data scientist team or your analytics team and say, I just want to look at a cohort of our most valuable customers. Those people that spend a fortune with us, or those people that spend a lot, or visit our store X amount of times. And I want to then look at what those people have in common. So a simple example we see is like loyalty members. We see when they become a loyalty member, they tend to spend more than a non-loyalty member. But that's just scratching the surface, right? Now, what if all of a sudden you start to see Oh, we see loyalty members who shop once a month end up being, when we fast forward, being super valuable for us. Okay, that's pretty good. Loyalty members who shop once a month and buy exclusive products that only we sell. Okay, now you're getting a really, you're narrowing that scope. And the reason this analysis is so important is because that then can feed into your messaging, your marketing, your collateral, and highlighting your exclusive products in creating incentive programs to get people to purchase at least once a month. I don't care if it's a coupon program, whatever it is you have to do, when you realize, hey, if I get them shopping once a month, buying an exclusive of ours, I know, because I've run this LTV analysis, that they're likely to become super valuable customers because I've already done this analysis on our super valuable cohort. So it's just great stuff for you, I think, to think about. So you've got a great app, you've got a great approach to LTV. A challenge we see across the board is then how do you get people to use it? What strategies do you have to drive acquisition and engagement with your mobile properties? And this applies whether it's a site or an app, but in this case with your mobile app.
Yeah, I think the biggest area of opportunity for us and where we're focusing moving forward is in-store, right? So, I think almost 10,000 plus stores now, pretty large footprint across the country. So what we are focusing on is educating our employees and making sure our store representation become evangelists, become experts in the app, not only for how it makes the employees or the customer's life better, but how it makes the actual employee's life better too. So we're kind of in the process of reinterpreting our in-store kind of internal marketing to say the app reduces the number of questions you have to answer so you can focus on your job. Or the app allows someone to check out faster with the mobile payment so that lines are 30% shorter. So we're really trying to highlight that for the management tier. And then, but when it comes to acquisition, how many people have come to a Walgreens in the past 30 days, right? Probably a pretty high number of just someone walking into a store. So that's the acquisition channel that we're seeing. And then it comes to us making sure that we have the right touch points in store to highlight that. From a digital perspective, it's all about content for us right now. What we're trying to do is we're building kind of a testing methodology to isolate creative and to make sure that we have the right audience seeing the right message at the right time. Whether it's like the knot with how Walgreens has a wedding photo kind of tier of products. Because there's things being developed so much, it's hard to kind of break through Walgreens' own noise sometimes with the things being developed.
Fantastic. So it sounds like you're able to leverage your 10,000 plus stores as a great ad in themselves. People walk in, hey, check out our app. This is what it can do. Mm-hmm. Making sure you're conscious of all your stakeholders, which I actually see as a big gap in a lot of other organizations. They think only about their customer and not about the other people, like the employees, how to make their lives easier. How do you then look to digital marketing channels to help? Let's say your stores are working for you, Yep. You've got signage up, you've got your employees well-versed. Beyond that, are there digital marketing strategies that have been successful?
Yeah, well, we spoken a lot about just the data behind everything powering it. That's been a pretty big shift in the past 2 to 3 years, I think, at Walgreens, as to how we're thinking using our own first-party data to influence an online transaction. And then, excuse me, the second point to that, I think, would be what are the channels as a whole? Like instead of a specific product tier, instead of YouTube, we look at Google, right? Instead of a specific objective in a social channel, we're looking at the whole channel and then social as a whole. And what are the ways that we're encouraging people to share their experience with a photo product, right? Or clip a coupon natively within an offline, a non-Walgreens channel. So what we're trying to do is take all of those experiences and make them as easy to interact with as possible. And then it is easy to understand, and if I do this with the app, it's already all synced and it's already all there waiting for me. Like you can clip a coupon, you don't have to think about it again. You just go in store, it's automatically redeemed. So there's a lot of kind of back-end pipe work and data work being done. So what we need to do is just make that really easy to find and really easy to execute on for any digital channel.